Sergeant Marcus Chen had seen many strange things during his 3 years fighting the Zephyrian Empire across the Outer Rim territories. He'd witnessed their crystalline ships phase through solid matter, watched their warriors regenerate lost limbs in minutes, and survive their psychic screams that could shatter reinforced steel. But nothing had prepared him for this moment. The massive alien queen towered before him in her obsidian throne room, her 6 arms gracefully folded, her chitinous exoskeleton gleaming under the bioluminescent ceiling. Queen Vexithara the Unconquerable, ruler of 17 star systems, conqueror of the Andorian clusters, had just made the most ridiculous proposition in galactic history. "I beg your pardon, Your Majesty," Marcus managed, his rifle still smoking from the firefight that had brought him here. His squad lay unconscious behind him, victims of the Queen's paralytic gas. But somehow he remained standing. "You heard correctly, little human," Queen Vexithara said, her mandibles clicking in what might have been amusement. "Marry me. And this war ends today. Refuse and we continue this tedious conflict until your species is extinct." Marcus stared at the alien monarch, his tactical mind racing. The war had been devastating for both sides. Humanity's colonies were burning, but intelligence. Reports suggested the Zephyrians were equally exhausted. Their hive-mind society was fracturing under the stress of prolonged conflict against an enemy they couldn't predict or control. "Why?" he asked simply. The Queen's compound eyes fixed on him with an intensity that made his skin crawl. "Because you humans are fascinating. For 3 years you've defied every prediction our quantum strategists made. You fight with no hive-mind coordination, yet somehow outmaneuver our fleets. You're individually weak, yet collectively unstoppable. You have no natural weapons, yet you're the most dangerous species we've encountered." She rose from her throne, her massive form casting shadows across the chamber. "But more than that, Sergeant Chen, you specifically have impressed me. The Battle of Kepler Station, where you held off an entire battalion with 17 soldiers. The Siege of New Geneva, where you turned our own technology against us. The massacre at Proxima 7. "That wasn't a massacre," Marcus interrupted. "That was a rescue mission." "Exactly." The Queen's voice rose with what sounded like excitement. "You saved 3,000 civilians from our processing centers, fighting through 5 dreadnoughts with nothing but outdated human technology. Our war forms speak of you in whispers. They call you the Ghost Walker, the one who appears where logic says he cannot be." Marcus kept his expression neutral, though his mind was working frantically. The Queen wasn't lying about the war's toll. He'd seen the casualty reports. Humanity was losing slowly but surely. But something in her tone suggested the Zephyrians weren't exactly winning either. "You want to know why I'm interested in marriage?" The Queen continued, beginning to pace around him with predatory grace. "Because our species is dying, Sergeant. Not from your weapons, but from stagnation. We've conquered through hive-mind efficiency for 10,000 years, but we've lost something vital. We've lost the chaos, the unpredictability, the sheer stubborn insanity that makes life interesting." She stopped directly in front of him. "Your species has something we need. Individual creativity, irrational bravery, the ability to make impossible decisions and somehow make them work. A union between our species could create something unprecedented." Marcus considered this. In the silence, he could hear his squad beginning to stir behind him. Time was running short, and if I refuse, then we continue this war until one of us is extinct, she said matter-of-factly. "My war forms will eventually overwhelm your defenses through sheer numbers, but it will take decades, and we'll both be shadows of what we once were." Marcus looked around the throne room, noting the subtle signs of Zephyrian exhaustion everywhere. Dimmer biolights, fewer guards, the Queen herself showing stress markers in her exoskeleton patterns. The war was bleeding them dry too. Then he smiled, that particular human expression that had confounded alien psychologists for years. "I counter-propose, Your Majesty." The Queen's mandibles stopped clicking. "Speak." "A cultural exchange program, instead of marriage. You said you need our chaos and creativity. We need to understand your technology and coordination. Instead of conquest or union, we established joint colonies, humans and Zephyrians working together, learning from each other. That is not what I expected. That's because you're thinking like a conqueror instead of a survivor, Marcus said, lowering his rifle completely. You want to know what makes humans special? It's not our individual strength or our technology. It's our ability to turn enemies into allies when we need to find the solution nobody else is looking for. Queen Vexthara was silent for a long moment, her complex brain processing possibilities. This cultural exchange, it would require trust. It would. And trust is something that has to be earned by both sides. And if it fails, Marcus grinned, then at least we'll have tried something new. Besides, Your Majesty, what's the worst that could happen? You might end up with a galaxy full of humans and Zephyrians who think war is boring. The Queen's chitinous plates shifted in what Marcus had learned to recognize as laughter. You humans and your impossible optimism. Very well, Sergeant Chen. Let us try your solution. But I warn you, if this cultural exchange produces offspring, I'm still claiming first rights to marry the interesting ones. As Marcus helped his squad to their feet and began planning humanity's strangest diplomatic victory, he reflected that sometimes the most human thing to do was find a completely different answer to an impossible question. The war was over, not through conquest or marriage, but through the most dangerous human weapon of all, hope. The galaxy would never be the same.